Hey yo, what is up? We are back with a new super test tank, and this looks like a Leopard. Very sexy looking, and this is the only reason why I'm taking a preview of this tank today. It looks phenomenal. It's actually a heavy tank, and it is a Leopard looking heavy tank because frontally the turret looks a bit like a Leopard, but kind of like elongated turret, and a little bit of a Leopard, a little bit of a lion. The hull looks like a lion hull, and then in the front it's got a shovel. I don't know if that shovel adds to some kind of armor. It could be. We don't know yet. Still very early days. Things could change. But I can tell you right now that this is a very sexy looking tank. 2200 hit points. This tank has the mobility and agility that I suspect like a Chieftain tier 10 reward tank. That's because it's got 960 horsepower with 16.8 power to weight ratio, 50 kilometers an hour going forward, 15 kilometers an hour in reverse. The hull traverse speed is 34 degrees per second. This makes the mobility or agility almost exactly like a Chieftain. The only thing we don't really know right now is the weight of this tank. Now we know a Chieftain is 60 tons, so we know what kind of mobility you're getting out of the Chieftain with 60-ton tank. It's not disclosed yet what the concept or the Kpz 07, I don't know, maybe they haven't figured out what they're going to name this tank in the end yet. Projekt Kpz, whatever, experimental. But it looks like the mobility and agility is going to be equivalent of a Chieftain reward tank. The gun handling is pretty good as well. That is because you are getting 1.7 seconds aim time, 0.33 dispersion, 8 degrees of gun depression. We don't know the moving dispersions yet, so we don't know exactly how the gun is going to perform, but in terms of the stock dispersions of 0.33 and aim time of 1.7 seconds, that's pretty quick aim time. This makes the gun pretty sweet. Also, it does if I'm not mistaken, 420 damage on this gun. But the only downside here is a 12-second reload time. This makes it kind of like kind of sucks. If it was a 10-second reload time for 420 damage, it wouldn't be so bad, because Chieftain is about 10 seconds reload with 440 alpha. I think they should make this gun a little bit more competitive. You know, if you're going to keep it at 420 alpha damage, maybe bring it down to 8-9 seconds reload time. That would make this tank a little bit more fair. And why do I say that? Because this tank does not have a lot of armor for a heavy tank. The armor it has is pretty dismal. Hull armor 140, frontally the turret armor only 190. A Chieftain, of course, is very much different. A Chieftain has 127 hull armor, but a lot of sloping going on in the Chieftain. The turret armor 350 makes it almost impenetrable, especially when you couple that with 10 degrees of gun depression. In a Chieftain with 350 turret armor, looking down over a ridge, man, that thing is impossible. Impossible to penetrate. On the other hand, on this tank, the Kpz 07, it does not have 350 of turret armor, and has only 190 turret armor. So with the limited 8 degrees of gun depression, you're gonna get destroyed if you try to peek over some ridges. Even if you gave this tank 10 degrees of gun depression, with the kind of only 190 millimeters of turret armor, it is not going to be really great. Yeah, that's what I've got to say about the armor and the gun performance. The only downside, again, the gun performance is that 12-second reload. They need to do something. If they're going to keep it at 12 seconds of reload time, they need to up that damage to about 490 like a Projekt 277. That would make it a little bit more balanced out, in my opinion. Or if they want to keep it at 420 hour damage, I think they should bring it down to 8, 9, 10 seconds of reload time. That would make it a little bit more fair. Other than that, like I said, the mobility is a bit like a Chieftain because of the power to weight ratio, and the engine horsepower it gives me that Chieftain mobility vibe. Of course, it all depends on how heavy this tank is going to be. If it's around the 60-ton mark like a Chieftain, then of course it is 100% going to have the agility and mobility of a Chieftain. Other than that, this tank is still pretty new, only 1 day in the super test, so we don't know exactly how they're going to change the stats. I hope they make this a competitive tank and not an Projekt 280 or not a Lion. Make it desirable, make people want to play this tank is what I think it should be. Other than that, it's got 260 of APCR penetration as its stock shell, and as its premium shell, it's 325 premium penetration on heat shells, so that is pretty interesting as well. Like I said, the thing that draws me to this tank is the way it looks. I think it looks phenomenal, really sexy looking, even with that shovel out in the front. I wonder how that shovel is going to play a part in terms of the armor profile, because the hull armor is only 140 millimeters. Yes, it is sloped, and we haven't taken into account what that shovel does. That shovel could be some kind of extra armor, you could say. So let's see what happens when we get more information about how this tank is going to perform in terms of how that armor is going to work out. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. This is the Projekt Kpz 07P experimental. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.